A day in the life of a personal injury attorney, a conversation with attorney Lem Garcia of Lem Garcia Law. That is our topic for today. Welcome to the Lawyers and Mediators International Show and Podcast, where we discuss law and conflict resolution topics to educate both professionals and everyday people. Catch regular episodes on YouTube and anywhere you get your podcasts. Just remember, nothing in these episodes constitutes legal advice, so be sure to talk to a lawyer, as cases are fact-dependent. Hi, everyone. This is Mac Pillowy, attorney, mediator, arbitrator working throughout Florida and Texas, and welcome back to the LMI podcast. And today we have a special guest, an attorney, personal injury lawyer, Lem Garcia. Lem, how are you doing today?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. So thank you so much for coming on. And I was out in California just a few weeks ago, early February, actually. And so now I'm back in Texas, but it's good to reconnect with somebody back on the, East Coast, West Coast, and somebody who does personal injury work. It's not too often we have someone who does this kind of law on the podcast, but just wanted to delve into it and have a conversation with you and let you share a little bit more about yourself and the kind of work you do and how you help people out. So can you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I opened up the firm Lem Garcia Law 10 years ago. And when I started, I just opened up a practice. I wanted to get any client I could get. So it was just a lot of different areas of the law. After maybe 6 months, I realized I could just focus in on personal injury 100%. And that'd be the best way that I could really have a business and help the public. So since then, it's just grown. It's started out with just me, and now I think there's like 20 people working here.
Awesome. Yeah. That story, resonates with me because it's kind of similar. I was pretty heavy into litigation on the family side, and over the years, I've moved more towards mediation. Speaking of which, mediation, do you end up doing a lot of the cases that you work through mediation? Is that how they kind of wrap themselves up, or do more of your cases go to litigation in the courthouse?
I would say that most cases settle even before mediation, just in pre-litigation, speaking to an adjuster, and then how maybe like 1 out of 10 cases goes into litigation.
Okay.
And then after that, I would say even more than 9 out of 10 resolve at mediation after some litigation.
Got it. So it's a very, very small percentage that actually goes all the way to a trial?
Yeah, very small percent. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, it's pretty similar in family law, actually. But people sometimes just want to fight. They just can't make the resolution themselves, so they got to have a judge involved. But all right, so tell us a little bit more about the day in the life. Let's start off with where you're located. I believe you're West Covina, California, right?
Yeah, West Covina, California, not too far from Los Angeles. And I have my own practice out here.
Yes, and Lem, the only thing I know about West Covina is the TV show. And I think you knew I was gonna go there, right? You get that
I
a
was
lot?
gonna guess that. Yeah. You watched Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I never knew about the city until I saw that show, and then of course the song got stuck in my head. Yes, West Covina. Yeah, I'm not gonna sing, but just letting you know, I know where you are on the map, literally. However, that's not your only location. I believe I saw from your website that you have multiple offices all over the state.
Yeah, we have a location in Cerritos, in Oceanside, in Ontario, but the West Covina is the first location and the main location.
Okay, so tell us about PI, personal injury. Is that the focus? Because I believe it's accidents, broadly speaking, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about what exactly it is that your firm does?
So personal injury is just when any third party injures you. That third party owes you for your bodily injury or your pain and suffering, your medical bills, your lost wages. So most cases under personal injury are in fact car accident cases, but then you also have your dog bites, your slip and falls, and any other way that people are negligent, hurting people out there. That's how we help people, is make sure that they get paid what they deserve for their injuries.
Okay, and what would you say the most common types are? I think you just mentioned car accidents. Is that the most popular or common type of cases that you would handle?
Yeah, car accidents are the most popular type of personal injury case. Especially out here, people are just really driving very negligently, and I think it's primarily due to cell phones. I mean, you look to your
Mm,
left and you look to your right. Most likely, you have someone that's looking down at their phone,
yeah.
and then they rear end somebody, because that's actually the most popular or most common type of accident that we see is the rear end accident.
Yeah, well, tell us about that in California. Like, different states have different laws when it comes to traffic laws, and what you have to put the phone on a, on a stand, for example, and many places. But how loose is it in your state, and does that contribute to the accidents?
Yeah, no, the law is very strict out here. You can't hold your phone. You can't touch your phone. You have to have your phone on a mount. If you're going to touch it, you can't actually be carrying it.
Mm,
And I think there's a good number of people do have that, but I think most people are still just holding their phone, talking on it, or texting on it while they're driving. And yeah, like I said, like the rear end accident is the most common accident, and I don't the most the easiest explanation is that they're probably texting and driving. I mean, they could be distracted or just um, nodding off maybe, but I think really the texting and driving is causing most of these accidents.
yeah, I remember years back, like on NPR, I think they were saying that um, being distracted by your cell phone is the equivalent of drinking so many, beers. I don't know if you found that to be true, or the stories you hear and people kind of denying that they were on their cell phones when they probably were. How do you even go about figuring that out? People lie, right?
Well, if they're lying or not, I don't think it really matters
Mhm.
that much, because in the end, they rear-ended somebody and you're at fault.
Yeah,
99 out of 100 times if you rear-end somebody. So whether you're texting and driving or nodding off or you're eating a sandwich while you're driving, if you rear-end somebody, you're going to be responsible for the damages that you cause.
yeah. So tell us, walk us through the basic steps. So somebody, I don't know, sees you on the freeways. That uh, over here we have billboards everywhere.
Oh
Okay,
yeah, how
every
they how they
5 feet.
find us?
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think most of our clients are either referrals or they found us online. We've been open for 10 years now, so we got a lot of past clients happy with their service, referring their friends and family over to us. And then we also get a good number of people from our online presence. They see our reviews, they see what the good things people have to say about us. So then they give us a call based off of that. So
Yeah,
I think we every person that calls in, we ask them, oh, how did you find us? Were you referred over? Did you find us online? And it looks like it's about 50-50 people finding us online versus a past client referring them over.
yeah. No, I think I saw your reviews. I think you had like 239, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Um, but but like back to the mechanics. So the person then finds you, they reach out to you, and then what does the day in the life of a personal injury look like in terms of how you work with the people?
Well, I mean, day in the life, it's pretty standard, 9 to 5:30. Come in a little bit earlier if there's more work to do. Stay in a bit later if there's more work to do. But as far as helping people out, I mean, we could start out at any stage of the case in the morning, maybe closing out a case, maybe do an intake on the phone. So every day is a little bit different. There's no, it's not very rigid. You just never know what part of the case you'll be working on at a certain time. But as far as the client experience, they're calling us and they get to speak to someone, speak to an attorney right away. If they ask for one, if they're happy, speaking to a case manager or an intake specialist, then we let them do it, and then the attorney gets the case, after an intake has been performed.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about the law and how it works in your state? I'm not licensed in California, so I'm not completely familiar. But all of your cases ultimately would go to a jury if it's not resolved privately at first, right?
Right. If we can't come to a settlement and we can't come to an agreement at mediation, then we're marching towards trial, and you're going to have your case heard in front of a jury.
Yeah. And then is discovery going to be part of that process along the way? At what
Right. Yeah.
stage?
So it gets filed, discovery, maybe mediation, maybe two mediations in between, and then after that, if it goes all the way to trial, then that's much later on, after the discovery, after the mediations failed.
Okay. For people who might not know what mediation, what discovery is, because you and I, of course, we speak this language all the time. But for the layperson out there who find themselves in an accident or knows somebody who needs somebody's help, um, when it comes to investigation and all the evidence collecting that you have to do, could you kind of break it down for them? What should they know, or what would you want them to know for when they come to you in terms of collecting evidence?
Yeah, so that's very important at the beginning of the case, after the accident. If you're physically fine to start collecting evidence, then you should start collecting evidence, meaning you should take pictures of, so let's say it's a car accident.
Yeah.
You should take pictures of your car, the other person's car, the surroundings, take pictures of any injuries any bruising that you might have. Take pictures of the positions of the cars from different angles so that you can prove exactly what happened. And then, as far as like witness statements, you also want to gather information from witnesses that are there. Have the police come out, talk to you, and talk to the other party so that you get their statement right away. Because you know what, as soon as that person gets home, if they're at fault,
Mm.
they might change their statement. But if there's a police report and you get their statement early on, that's before they've been able to talk to somebody else that said, hey, you should say this so you can avoid responsibility. So
Yeah.
get the police officer out there, you get the statements early, and then after that, once you gather all the evidence at the scene, get checked out by a doctor. Any kind of aches or pains that you have, you want to address those, get those documented so that the insurance company can argue that, oh, you weren't hurt from the accident. The sooner you go, the better, so that you can tie in your injury to the accident.
Mm.
And that's just the first stages of documenting everything. And then after that, you want to make sure to get ongoing medical treatment to get better, number one, but then also to document all of the injuries that you do have so that if you do get in front of a jury, it shows on your medical record.
Yeah. Are there things like potential clients do that you really hate that they do? Like, I had a friend the other day. I was out in Toronto. I was doing a podcast recording. I'm driving with somebody, and they were explaining to me how some years before they had got into a car accident. They were hit, by somebody going pretty fast, and they made the mistake of not going to the doctor. The ambulance showed up, took the other person, but this individual who's recounting the story tells me that they walked fine. Their car was totaled. They walked away just fine. They went home. It was the next day they woke up in so much pain, couldn't even lift their neck. And so that obviously, the case worked out ultimately in the long run, but I think it could have had a possibly a better outcome for them if they had in fact, had gone to the doctor, when they were first asked. So what about in your situation? Do you see that? Is that a big no-no? What would you tell people?
Yeah, that's a huge no-no. Being the tough guy and not getting any medical treatment, not seeing a doctor, that's probably one of the fastest ways to ruin your case. If you're in an accident, you're not feeling well, you need to make sure that you see a doctor to get better. Make sure you get better, and then number two, you want to make sure you can document all your injuries, because if you're
Mm.
not getting treatment, there's a good argument that you're not hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. So talk to me about the insurance industry. I think I don't work in insurance law, right? But that's an industry that you deal with a lot. Okay, institution that you are working with constantly, and I'm sure you've met a lot of people, good, bad, and ugly. Over the last number of years. But how? What tips would you give people when it comes to working with their insurance, provider, and what warnings might you give on that aspect?
Well, if you're handling your own case, I would first tell you that you should speak to a lawyer.
Mm.
Personal injury lawyers, there's no cost to talk to them, to get an evaluation, to get some advice to start. We don't charge anything. I don't know any personal injury lawyer that does charge to just have a conversation to see if you have a case or not.
Yep.
So you should get some advice from them to start. Advice to other personal injury lawyers when you're talking to the insurance company. Um, my advice would be not to take anything personally, and don't make it a personal thing. Like if you have an adjuster that's on the phone and they're being rude to you, you might want to react and then be rude back to them, and now you have a personal vendetta or
Mm.
argument with them, and then now the adjusters is the same way. They're not going to want to give you the money because they took it personally too. So you want to make sure that you have any kind of personal issues. Don't let those get in the way. Just keep it professional. Keep a cool head, and don't let any of your emotions get involved.
Yeah, and but you're the advocate for your client, right? You do most of the talking anyway when it comes to that.
Oh,
So
right. No, yeah. I mean, if you're representing somebody, yeah, I mean, you're advocating for your client, and at
yeah,
the same time, you want to make sure that you don't let any kind of personal issues with the adjuster get in the way while you're advocating for your client. Just keep
gotcha,
it to the issues.
gotcha. All right, so just got a few minutes left. So just wanted to, I guess, do you have any personal anecdotes that you might want to share, with somebody out there, to maybe to connect with somebody who might have gone through an accident without breaking any kind of confidentiality or sharing people's privacy. But I love stories, and I love to know of any anecdotes that you might be able to share, from the typical cases that you've seen. Because I know you've seen a whole lot over the years.
Well, one story that I like to share just about how important it is to have a lawyer is about this young woman that emailed me, in the middle of the night one day, like maybe 3 a.m. or so, and for whatever reason, I got back pretty quickly, set up a phone call with her, and it turned, the insurance company was denying her claim. She was hit, and she lost her front teeth,
Mm,
in bad shape, and they were refusing to pay. There was a lot of liability issues and even coverage issues. And then after I spoke to her, I said, you know what? She told me that other attorneys, didn't want to represent her,
yeah,
but I saw something that we could hang on to on her case, and um, make the insurance company decide to provide coverage
yeah,
when other lawyers said there's nothing that can be done. And then we helped out, and then she was able to recover, a good amount of money, just for her bodily injury, but then also enough money so that she could get implants for her teeth that were missing.
mm,
So that was really just not just also a good financial victory, but
yeah,
also something that I'm proud of, that we were able to get someone's smile back, because that's something that was lost in it.
yeah.
Without the recovery, who knows how long it would have taken her to save up that much money to get that back.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, no, shows you're doing really good work. Awesome. Okay. And so just to wrap up, something personal about yourself. What's something that people might not know about you if you're on the internet, so you can't be too, transparent, I guess. But if people wanted to know, your heart of hearts, what would you tell them about who you are?
Oh wow, that's a good question. You caught me off guard with this question. I think, just in general, I think the point of, or like one of the meaning of why we're here, that can be found just by trying to live up to our potential. That
Mhm.
we were all given gifts and talents, and it's our job, it's our duty um, to maximize those as much as possible. And through that, we'll find out who we are and what's most fulfilling to us.
Yes. So this has become your passion, right? Helping people this way.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. Helping people out after they've been injured, it's very fulfilling. Making sure that they get taken care of, given the right guidance, and then at the end of their case, they get, a lot of times they get compensated what can ultimately be very life changing for them. So that's fantastic to see.
Awesome. All right. So Lem Garcia, thank you so much, for coming on the LMI podcast. And hopefully this was educational for folks out there. So let me share your website one more time. So if people want to get a hold of you, what's the best place they can go?
lemgarcialaw.com, or they can email me, lem@lemgarcialaw.com.
Awesome. Pretty easy, pretty simple. And then of course you're in West Covina. So that'll be uh just stone's throw away from LA. Pretty close. All right. All right, Lem. Thank you so much, man, for this conversation.
All right, appreciate it. Thank
All
you.
right, man. Take care.